Winnipeg Blue Bombers continue to chase down destiny. They are headed to the Grey Cup for a third consecutive season. How you feeling, Winnipeg? How you feeling, Manitoba? Welcome inside Bonfire Sports. This is Game Day After Dark. Darrin Bauming alongside, I always get that wrong, my virtual right, Zach Schnitzer. How you feeling, Schnitz? Quick thought on how your night went at the Madhouse on Matheson and a 28-20 Blue Bombers victory in the West Final.
Well, I think this is a testament, Darrin, to how spoiled I am, and we are as Bomber fans. That 3 years ago, I was jubilant. Last year, I was in tears. This year, I'm excited, but I'm more relieved than anything. And as a fan, I am kind of just like, meh. And also,
meh.
Thinking about Collaros.
Oh, well,
let
me put that to rest.
Hate right? Like, you got to tell us about that. But I come on here to be honest, right? I am who I am. You've seen me, fans have seen me lose my mind when we win or make a great play.
You are the fan. Yes, you are.
I'm more relieved. I'm more concerned about Zach. We'll get to this later. Well, it looks
no,
like
we're gonna get to it right away. I got some insight on Zach
Legio. I'm concerned about Legio. I'm concerned about how good Toronto looked. And I was hoping, Darrin, just to put a cap on this, and I'll let you get to the big news. I was hoping the Bombers would come out with their A game. We all had this narrative of last year in the West Final. It was much closer than it should have been. And I was looking for the Bombers to bring their A game. And I knew, and I think you knew, and fans knew, if the Bombers were going to bring their A game, this wouldn't even be close. I think we called that on midweek. And
Zach,
I'll shut up here by just saying I'm a bit disappointed they didn't bring their A game, and I just hope they bring it next week. But I want to hear about Collaros.
I don't know how a Blue Bombers fan could be disappointed with an 8-point win in a beautiful setting at IG Field on a perfect early winter night where the Blue Bombers
not
punch
disappointed,
a ticket.
Just a little bit. Maybe disappointed.
Zach, let me stop you. And for once, our roles are a little bit reversed, where you're the fervent fan, I'm the more objective or the objective reporter and journalist in our equation here on Bonfire Sports and our Game Day and After Dark and midweek. But let me put it this way: the Blue Bombers know they didn't play their best. They have a lot of work to do. And they're already putting in the work. They've already talked about how their focus is on the task at hand. Bombers fans should be excited. This team is good, very, very good. And why do I say that? Not just because they won 28-20 tonight, Zach. This Blue Bombers team is good because we saw one of the weirdest, oddest football games in CFL playoff history. Like one
even
of
O'Shea
the weirdest
admitted
games.
that. Mike O'Shea admitted in the post game that it was a weird game. If you hear that from O'Shea, then it was a Twilight Zone game.
Zach, and they still played so very well. The defense allowed 300 yards passing to Nathan Rourke, but his passing, his quarterback rating was like 60-something. He threw 2 interceptions, couldn't get anything going when they needed it to. They got desperate at the end, and they still couldn't overcome. The Blue Bombers overcame, I guess, quarterbacking from Zach Collaros that wasn't like, throwing the lights out or anything like that. No. They did it with the run game. They did it with ball control. They overcame, some missed converts. They overcame some bad giveaways and turnovers. They, overcame special team snafus with Terry Williams going 126 yards or whatever it was back the other way to make a 6-point score, a 4-point score with the first missed convert 2-point return in Grey Cup playoff history.
Is that right?
It is, yeah. And,
What
I
a
mentioned that and a
weird
couple other
stat.
things on my piece with Chris O'Leary. That'll be up on CFL.ca and on their YouTube page a little bit later. But it was really fun to do some on-camera stuff with the CFL, the West semifinal, the West final. Who knows what the Grey Cup has in store. But that's why we're a little bit late here on Game Day After Dark. Okay, I'll get right to it because this is the biggest
Yeah.
question everybody is
Colaris.
asking. Zach Collaros went down with injury in the fourth quarter. He did not finish the game. You can check it on my Twitter. I clarified it is his right ankle. It is his right ankle that was injured, and he kind of jogged out onto the field. The TSN camera was right there next to him, and he just kind of went, nope, and he turned around and he went back to the bench.
Saw
Was that
that.
more
Yeah.
preventative than anything? Probably. Zach Collaros told Farhan Lalji moments after the game, we're okay. Saying we, not I, which is pretty much normal Blue Bombers speak or pro sports speak these days. And then when we got a chance to talk to Zach Collaros, he was made available to the media. That's a good indication.
That's a good
We
sign.
asked
Yeah.
him about it. He says not too concerned. It didn't look good. He admitted, the TSN cameras there probably didn't look good. He said it didn't feel good. But great follow-up question from Jeff Hamilton of the Winnipeg Free Press, friend of the program here on Bonfire Sports. Have a feeling we'll be getting him and the usual suspects on the channel a lot at Grey Cup Week in Regina. I'm headed in the coming days and invite everybody out there to join us all week. But Jeff Hamilton asked, is there a question to your availability in the Grey Cup? Zach Collaros wanted to put it to bed early.
Yeah.
And he said, there is no question. It's not a question. So, Blue Bomber Nation, put yourself at ease. When your head hits the pillow tonight, have a smile on your face. Enjoy. Your Blue Bombers team is chasing destiny, looking for a nearly unprecedented third straight Grey Cup 7 days from today. Frankly, 7 days to the hour. We should know with kickoff in Regina in that same central time zone for the 109th Grey Cup. It's going to be a heck of a week ahead. Again, this is what I really want to emphasize to people out there. Tell your friends. People are going to be talking Blue Bombers football all week long, morning, noon, and night. And when you have those conversations, you tell them, go to YouTube and search Bonfire Sports. Send them a link. Find them on Facebook. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find it all. Bonfire Sports. .ca. And of course, if you enjoy this free content we bring to you, do us a solid and support our sponsors. Shannon's Irish Pub, Jets Game Day Specials, home and away. Blue Bombers Game Day Specials. They were open for the West Final today. Andrea Kohach went down there, picked up their $25 gift card.
Congrats, Andrea.
Yes, and congrats to Roman, who took home the tickets, pair of lower bowl seats to today's West Final. He was absolutely fired up, texting the Bonfire hotline like crazy, saying it was a red hat, it was an orange hat. He knew what color hat it was, and he's had a good time at the game tonight, sending me some messages. But you want to get to Shannon's Irish Pub if you're not going to the Grey Cup. They're going to be open on Grey Cup Sunday. Their food is off the charts. You see it on the screen, 21 beers on tap, ice cold, super fresh, tons of great local and domestic and international options. They got you covered. Whiskey, cocktails, you name it. Shannon's Irish Pub and Eatery. Get the wings. If you're not trying the boar burger or the venison burger, the wild boar burger, check out the wings. I had them a couple weeks ago. They are just awesome, plump, perfectly cooked, perfectly seasoned. Go see them at 175 Carlton Street. Just a quick shot down the road from True North Square. Iconic spot under the streets of downtown Winnipeg.
And you were saying those wings are quite meaty. Denise says he had them and it was quite full. And Denise, I don't have a chart anymore. I'm too lazy to bring a piece of paper and write down notes, and it was too cold, quite frankly. It's not laziness. I was just too cold. But anyway, I hear you, Darrin, that Zach said that. I'm thrilled that he's going to be good to go. My question is, how close to 100% will he be, especially when he wakes up in the morning and that swelling, and you know how it is, right? The next morning it can often tell the tale.
No question. We'll see how the week transpires. Here's the reality, though. It's Sunday night. Tomorrow will be an off day for everybody. As we prepare our pilgrimage west, the Blue Bombers, fans, media, everybody included, in the coming days. Tuesday is when the Blue Bombers will fly on their private charter to the Grey Cup City, arrive in Regina, a bunch of kind of, photo opportunities and that sort of thing. Wednesday morning in Regina is when the Blue Bombers are first scheduled to hit the field and practice. I know for a fact they will be practicing outdoors all week, come rain, shine, sleet, snow, wind, hail. Well, maybe not hail, maybe not lightning, but outside of catastrophe for athletes in football helmets, they're going to be outside acclimatizing to the prairie conditions that they already are quite acclimatized to, right? So CJ Diddick asking, what's the schedule looking like for Bonfire Sports this week? Every single day. Head back here to youtube.com/bonfire sports. Get us on your podcast apps as well. We're on all the majors. We're on all the minors too. So be sure to just search out Bonfire Sports and Game Day Winnipeg, Game Day After Dark, all that good stuff. And then Zach, of course, you'll join me Wednesday following that first Blue Bombers and Toronto Argonauts practice in Regina. I should be settled in the Queen City by then, and we'll fire up Bonfire midweek and get into all of the goods coming out of a weird and wild Blue Bombers West Final win. What stood out to you, Zach? Maybe first and foremost in this game that was just, in the words of Mike O'Shea, odd.
Well, honestly, Darrin, it was the oddness. I mean, there was some jubilation in the first half with you had that blocked punt, but then it was reversed, and everybody's crazy upset, and then even Derek Taylor is asking like, what the heck is going on? And there was some controversy there, right? Because you saw people citing the plant leg, like the plant leg can't be touched. And then I saw Doug Brown citing that, if you block the kicker's fair game. So there was some
Now,
confusion
let
there,
me
but I
let,
think it was
let
put to rest. I think you can't touch the plant leg no matter what. So it
so
ended up
Doug
being a good
Doug is
call.
right. Doug is right with how that rule was written during his playing days. In 2019, they
Yeah,
changed the rule. And
yeah,
to me, it makes perfect sense. You can contact the kicker if you touch the football. That makes perfect sense. But you cannot hit the plant leg. Why
right.
not? It's the same way they protect quarterbacks. That is an individual who doesn't play really a contact position, but hey, you can contact him anywhere except that plant leg because that is a very vulnerable spot, right? So that was a penalty. And, it's unfortunate. The Blue Bombers had a ton of momentum going at that juncture of the game, but they called the rule the correct way. That was changed just about 3 years ago, back in 2019. And shout out
Well,
to Jeff
yeah.
Hamilton, once again, of the Free Press, who dug that up quickly during the game.
Jeff Hamilton's getting a lot too many shoutouts for my liking. This guy, if you didn't read his piece, if you didn't read his piece on Zach Collaros in the Free Press,
Oh,
you have to find that piece. And
the guy went down to
honestly,
Steubenville,
hey,
Ohio.
he went to Steubenville. He interviewed his coaches, his family. There are some gems in there. I don't even want to give them away because honestly, like, pay for that article. Like, just go read it. You have to read it. It is.
I
I
think you
I,
can,
I
like,
messaged him
if you're
after.
not a subscriber, sorry to interrupt, Zach, it's like 25 cents or something.
Yeah, you
It's
gotta you
worth your
gotta
time.
read this
It's worth your,
article.
yeah.
I mean, Zach Collaros is a legend in this town. Has only been here a couple of years now, 3 years. Like, what Hamilton does, like, he goes down there, and it's just someone needed to do it, and I'm glad Jeff did it. And the just the gems you get, things about Collaros and his
Yeah.
family and that town that you didn't know. It's stuff that will be written about in a book about this dynasty at some point, but I love how Hamilton got ahead of it, and it's just a beautiful article. And yeah, he's just hitting it out of the park here, Hamilton. But yeah, so you had that roughing the punter, and the crowd was just wild. It was great, and they were just
They had a
letting him
huge
have it.
role,
Yeah,
in the
there
game.
was a few controversial calls. My buddy said that on the Oliveira touchdown in the third quarter that would have iced the game. He didn't. He was kind of a phantom Dembski call. I mean, you saw people saying that the the refs in the command center were trying to get BC to win. I don't like any of that. Uh, the tinfoil hat stuff, but the crowd was nuts. And Biggie talked about it in the postgame. You were right there, Darrin, right? Like the crowd, I would say Oliveira, and then that defense, and of course the O-line, they won that game. And of course, Janarian
Yeah,
Grant. I mean, I don't know if you can say, he giveth and he taketh away, right? He
right.
dropped one and basically gave up a touchdown, then he got one. I don't know what it is about
Redemption.
BC. I don't know what it is about BC and Janarian Grant. He just seems to have his way with them if he's not dropping the ball. I don't know what it is, but we needed
So
that
that
injection. Just a
that
crazy game, man. Just a and BC was still in it. And then you see Zach Galaris go out, and then Drew Brown comes in. We're only up by one score, albeit with a 2-point conversion. And wow, and then BC inexplicably sort of just pissing away the time. What did you think of that? Like they were in desperation mode, starting at their own 7 or 5 or whatever. They get to about the 45 or 50 of Winnipeg, and they piss away 20 seconds that they just couldn't afford. Darrin, what happened there? Did they have a timeout that they didn't even use, or was this a rookie mistake by Rourke? Oh, Darrin, I can't hear you, buddy. Or maybe it's my.
here we go.
There you are. What'd you do? Mute yourself?
Yes, I did because I had a little tickle in the throat. We asked head coach Rick Campbell about it. We asked head coach Mike O'Shea about it, and well, this is the way it was put. Rick Campbell credited that momentum the crowd gave them, and also with the difficulty in just communication. Adam Bighill mentioned it. They had trouble, the BC Lions, in getting the play call to their receivers. So they couldn't do hurry up. They had to take their time. And you're right. 17, 20 seconds off the clock, just to, do a kind of a short carry up the middle. It no doubt cost them. Rick Campbell said, well, not quite said it cost them, but it gave them absolute headaches. And then you ask Mike O'Shea, he says, I wish you could kind of like take 3 seconds here and 5 seconds here and 7 seconds here and add them all up, because that was the impact the Winnipeg Blue Bombers fans had at IG Field tonight. I don't call it the Madhouse on Matheson for nothing. The place rocks when it needs to rock. And Blue Bomber Nation came out in full throat on Sunday night and the West Final. And, the way Mike O'Shea put it, you add all those seconds up, you're essentially taking a possession away from the opponent. So huge kudos from the Blue Bombers to the fans tonight. And Mike O'Shea mentioning, he sure hopes a good contingency of those in blue and gold and, with their cowbells and full lungs head west to Regina and the 109th Grey Cup in 7 days.
Totally. And 2 time count violations, right, against BC because of our crowd. And offside, although that offside ended up costing us because they called Zach for intentional grounding. So, but again, like just a weird series of plays there, right? I know we're getting into details here, Darrin, and we kind of want to look at the big picture because this is a team that's going to its 3rd Grey Cup. However it happens, I mean that just doesn't happen in a salary cap era. You have a coaching cap era. We got to talk about that. I don't want to emphasize this too much, but you have an offside call where you basically the quarterback thinks, oh, I've got a free play, and then he's called for intentional grounding. Just like so many bizarre plays. It's just a weird game. But at the end of the day, Darrin, they pull it out. Maybe it was their C game, maybe it was their B game. The point is BC is a good team. And they had a lot of momentum coming in. Rourke is a phenom. And we beat them despite missing 2 point afters, despite one of those point afters going all the way back to the house. He basically lost us 4 points. Despite Zach throwing an interception, despite Janarian Grant basically gifting the BC Lions a touchdown, despite the fact that both quarterbacks could have easily thrown a couple pick sixes. Like the DBs are probably Darby is probably salivating. And there was a
You
BC
nearly had
defensive
another
back,
pick, right? Yeah.
right? But and then we had an interception. Was it Desmond Lawrence who should have actually knocked that ball down because he catches it on about the Winnipeg 10. And then we ended up giving up a touchdown on the ensuing punt, I believe. But hey, it's hard to just think about that.
Yeah.
Like the ball's coming to you, DB, you catch it right, unless it's the end of the game. So anyway, Darrin, a weird game, but at the end of the day, it's like, and Andre Harms says it here. I mean, you tweeted this earlier today too. Like you can't write this stuff. Like you can't make this stuff up. You can write it, I guess. Like Oliveira versus Harris, Winnipeg versus Toronto, a team we've never beat. We've lost to them 6 straight times in the Grey Cup, folks. We've never beaten them. Iconic
Yeah, but like
games
that was
against
like 70 years ago. It's
70
almost
years. We haven't beat them in 70 years.
irrelevant.
The Mud Bowl. Well, but it's part of history, right? I think that stuff is kind of cool. I
For
just think
sure.
that the
Yeah.
storylines going into this are absolutely nuts. I mean, McLeod Bethel Thompson, for God's sakes, he was on our practice roster, was he not? And we cut him.
He was a Winnipeg Blue Bomber. You bet.
I mean, and which McLeod Bethel Thompson are you going to get, right? Like, it's just, but at the end of the day, the Bombers played Bomber football, Darrin. Ground and freaking pound, baby.
Yes.
Whether it was Oliveira or whether it was Prukop, the two of those guys, especially Oliveira, wow. Like, what a game by Brady Oliveira, Darrin.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up the numbers here, but I remember them off the top of my head, actually. Brady Oliveira had 130 yards rushing. He averaged 6.5 yards per carry. I love the way Nick Dembski put it after the game, just checking my notes here. Dembski said on Brady Oliveira, I know he's ready for this moment. He's built for games like this. Andrew Harris, his time in BC and his time in Winnipeg, and even a little bit this season with the Toronto Argonauts, he has shown such grit, such perseverance, and such determination in running the football and gaining every inch he can. Brady Oliveira is the protege to Andrew Harris, still speaks with him, still talks with him throughout the season, talks football, talks life. They're kind of like brothers, right? When they were teammates here, they said, hey, little bro, they called him like Little Drew. They called Brady Oliveira Little Drew, Little Andrew. And they're still close to this day. But now you're seeing Brady Oliveira emerge in his own right as somebody who is just tenacious running the football, delivering the blow, getting the pad level low, making it difficult to take him down, spinning, twisting, diving, doing whatever he needs to do to gain that extra yard or 2 or 5.
And yards after the catch, Darrin.
Like, yes, that's right. He
even
threw
receiving,
in
right? 7
for
37,
36.
36 yards after the catch, including a beauty of a movie pulled on a screen when Zach was almost going to get blown up. I mean, he and I think Craig Smith says it well. It's also this is 4D chess. This is a 12-man offense, right? The run blocking, the offensive line. I thought it was so important they have Rashid Bailey back. I know he didn't have huge stats, although he did have like 9 touchdowns, which is a lot, by the way. But the run blocking, guys that have grit, Wolotarski being back in there, Dembski, this is rushing is a team stat as well as an individual, right? And Oliveira had a phenomenal marquee signature game, right? We may look back at this as the true beginning of the Oliveira era, but it's not just him, right? It's the whole team. They knew that they had to grind this one out, and they did. They did, and it wasn't just him. It was Prukop, 7 for 37 yards and a touchdown. The Prukop is just money, especially on those short yardages, Darrin. I mean, what a one punch right there, and BC just couldn't stop it. Whereas we were able to stop them on 3rd down, right? That was a huge turnover.
Yeah, you're right. I do want to apologize. I'm having an issue with my screen sharing, so I'm not able to pull up the stats for everybody. But some people asking,
Darrin,
look,
Winnipeg have his B game. You're having your B game. I'm having a C game. Like, excuse me, but Zach Collaros got injured. Zach Schnitzer got injured, jumping up and down, cheering.
I think you're probably in worse shape than the Blue Bombers quarterback, though.
Oh, I mean, I didn't bring my brace. There was going to be no stair runs for me tonight, Darrin. I know I
And yet,
disappointed a lot of people because people were really paying attention to me rather than the game. But yeah, um, I really hurt my knee. I could barely walk.
wow.
But my physio said you don't have to wear your brace because you don't want to be overprotective of the knee, but wear it if you're doing something athletic. Yeah, definitely did it week to week, Jeff Capillis. But
You're going to be
athletic, I
okay.
think.
You're going to play through the pain in Grey Cup week, Zach. I know
Yeah,
it.
sure. Well, not athletic, but as my friend Caitlin, who I brought, said, it is kind of athletic to like jump off your chair and start jumping up and down. Um, so yeah, I'm wearing the goat horns there, but anyway, the other thing I want to say, Darrin, I tried to start a BC sucks chant in the second quarter because it's my favorite chant,
I
and
heard a lot. I heard a lot of them tonight.
a woman who was 2 seats away from me, she was in her 70s, and she said, "Son, it's too early for that. I've been coming to games since I was 12. It's not time for BC sucks." And I was just shut up completely. Like, she just shut me down. And I'm like, "You're my elder. You know more than I do. I'll do whatever you say, ma'am." And
Classy
I
Bomber
just love
fans.
that. But Darrin, the storylines, we're going to Regina. First preseason game we win in Regina. First game we win in Regina. First Western semi we win in. First Western final, and now we're in the Grey Cup. Another story in their
Could be
dressing
another.
room.
Yes. Yeah.
Can
Nick
you
Dembski even talked about,
imagine?
heard nice facilities.
Exactly.
Um, well, look, I mean, some people mentioning Greg Ellingson, how he was invisible tonight. Like,
Yeah.
look, the entire pass game was not a factor tonight. It's
Yeah.
not because the wind was blowing or it was too cold or it was too wet or the balls were rock hard or something like that, right? It was the run game getting the job done. Excuse me. Mike O'Shea, I asked him about this today because when it's an odd game, sometimes going to a thing that just works can be the most settling, reassuring, stabilizing thing. And for the Blue Bombers, it was the run game. They just kept at it. 20 carries
Yeah.
for Brady Oliveira, 7 for Dakota Prukop, 2 for Dembski, 2 for Collaros. Obviously, Collaros not taking off and running too much, but the way that they just said, look, this is working. They can't stop us. It eats the clock. We're moving the ball. We're scoring. Let's just run the football. And Mike O'Shea talked about how the run game was like a calm place. And I loved that quote from Mike
Did he
O'Shea in just
seriously say
saying,
that?
he did. He says it's like it puts you in a calm place. And he's like, of course, it's chaos on the field and havoc and whatever word he used to describe, how gritty and nasty and smash mouth it is when you run the football. But
Yeah.
from a play calling perspective, from a head coaching perspective, from an overall
Sure.
game perspective, a calm place having someone like Brady Oliveira and Dakota Prukop and all of those guys up front. We know the usual suspects, but you throw in Chris Kolinkowski, you throw in Liam Dobson,
Yeah.
Mike Miller, a lot of those guys that
Connor
lead.
What's his name? Burton Shaw, right?
Connor
They
Burtonshaw, the Canadian rookie. Yep.
Yep. Yep.
All of those
I mean,
guys really got the
yeah.
job done tonight.
Yeah, you can rely on it, right? It's old reliable, it's your safe place. It's kind of the Blue Bombers reflex, and it's it's
It's
their
their
blueprint to
MO.
win. It's their
Yeah.
MO, Darrin. And we've talked about this on the show a lot. When the Bombers run game is going, they cannot be beat. At least this iteration of the Bombers, they cannot be beaten. They don't. They just simply don't get beaten. And if the run game's sort of mediocre or middling, then they might have a bit more trouble, right? You look at that Grey Cup in 2019, Andrew Harris went off, and I mean, it was over at halftime basically. Last Grey Cup, he wasn't so effective. Whether he was lingering effects of the injury or just the way Hamilton's front was playing, um, but you wear down a team like what One Bird's saying. You wear them down in the cold, and you have ball control. We beat them in time of possession, And you
Well,
you
and
just wear
look at this.
the team down.
And the BC Lions couldn't counter with James Butler, who
They had no
absolutely
run
wore
game.
down the Stampeders last week, right? 6 carries for 4 yards. He was a non-factor.
Non-factor.
He had less than a yard per
Yeah.
carry, right?
Yeah, the only
Yeah.
run that was effective was Rourke, and that was late in the game in kind of desperation mode, right?
He had a 12-yard run, yeah.
What did you make of Rourke? So I thought, he started to come on as the game went on, but it looked like either he was missing guys on purpose because they were covered and he didn't want to throw a pick, Darrin. And I'm talking about in the first half and parts of the third quarter. Or was he just off? Or was there just nothing open? Like, what was your sense of Rourke's game?
My sense, and this is just my feeling, is that it was cold. Like, it looked like,
Yeah.
look. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Winnipegger, true and true, born and raised. I got cold winter blood flowing through my veins. I'm an absolute winter child of winter, no question. But Nathan Rourke didn't look comfortable throwing the football today. Yes, he threw for 300 yards, but he threw a couple picks. The one to Winston Rose through traffic, like, he had like 5 seconds in the pocket. And I mentioned this on CFL.ca earlier this week. 4, 5, 6 seconds doesn't sound like a lot of time. That's an eternity in the pocket. That's an eternity to cover. And what does Nathan Rourke do? He stays in the pocket. I think, 3 months ago, he would have taken off because things are broken down at that point, and DBs are more running for their life to cover than keeping their eyes on the quarterback and where he might go, left, right, up the middle, whatever. But Rourke decides to throw it into an incredibly congested area right down the middle. And it wasn't the first Blue Bombers DB that made the pick. Winston Rose was kind of at that second level behind that first point of attack and where the receivers were, and he had the interception. To me, that was something's different. And, we asked Nathan Rourke after the game, and he goes, look, I seem to be running fine. I don't know what you guys are talking about, that sort of thing. Sure, he doesn't want to make excuses. Maybe he doesn't want to lead on that's a reason why he didn't play his best. That's kind of the guy he is character-wise. But the reality is he was 54%. This is a guy that was throwing like 80% for 450 yards when healthy.
Set the CFL record for completion percentage, right?
Right.
Yeah.
His quarterback efficiency rating, 67.4. Zach Collaros didn't do much in the air today, 14 of 20. He was 70%, 178 yards, threw a pick, threw a touchdown. His quarterback efficiency rating was 93.3. That's like 50% better than Nathan Rourke's.
Yeah.
So to me, the writing was on the wall. Nathan Rourke was not fully healthy, and the BC Lions, with no run game, absolutely suffered because of it.
Yeah, I think that's well said. And listen, I think part of that goes to our defensive coaching. I saw a comment on here, and I think it's bang on from just what I saw, Darrin, and you can weigh in, of course. I think the Bombers schemed well against him too. It looked like a lot of times, even when he had time in the pocket, whether that was because the Bombers didn't rush more than 3 or 4, he didn't seem to see anything downfield. And I think that's a testament to the coaching and to the play of our umbrella, those DBs in the back, and also, of course, Alden Darby, who plays a coverage role. More on Darby later. I mean, he impressed the hell out of me. As well as Desmond Lawrence and some of those other DBs. I think a lot of times he maybe just didn't even see anything open. And listen, folks, I'm going to say this right now. Darrin, I got to chime in on this. The cryberry baby stuff about Rourke, I think you need to can it. He's a young man. This was a big moment for him. He worked his ass off to come back from injury, and men are allowed to cry, by the way. This was a big moment, and he's crushed. His dream, he's Canadian. He wanted to win the Grey Cup. The Lions were a huge story. I know some of you are just chirping, but
I don't think if you're chirping a guy who came back from injury the way Nathan Rourke did, played the way he did early in the season, and then most recently last week in a huge win over the Calgary Stampeders to come into Winnipeg, play the best team in the land, be a huge underdog, and be in the fight until the end. Like, they lost by a score. It was 28-20. Like, that's a one-score game.
They could have easily tied. I mean, they could have easily tied this game as they managed the clock better. He shed
But
tears. I mean, I think I would too.
this,
I mean, I would never be an elite athlete, as evidenced by my knee, but I've shed tears. You respect the guy, man.
thanks, Gordo.
Respect
Thanks for
the guy.
sticking around.
And I know some of you are just chirping, but
Look,
honestly,
my throat is absolutely tore up right now, so
yeah,
forgive
buddy.
me
It's like
for
you were cheering your
the
face
moments.
off.
Yeah, no, I was not either. But
No,
anyway,
you're not 100%, buddy.
no, but no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm probable. This is the thing. If you blame an athlete for what Nathan Rourke went through this year, and you criticize him for showing emotion outwardly when it's all over, I don't think you understand how it works. These guys put in work every single day. They don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to do pancakes. Nope. They're focused on eating the right things and then doing the right things to play at their best. Nathan Rourke is a tireless worker. I think you just need to shake your head when you're saying things like that, because, like, give me a break, man.
Yeah, but
He had a heck of a season.
Yeah, he did. He did. And listen, did I get sick of the Kid Canada talk from TSN? Yes. But do they want ratings? Yes. Was he going to give them ratings? Absolutely.
Oh, he moves the
They
needle.
need BC.
He moves the needle.
They need BC to be a story. And I get it. I get it. But I'm glad to shut that up a little bit. Let's be honest. But Darrin, I mean, what do the Bombers take from this game? I mean, did they feel like they escaped with one? Does this just give them added motivation to get better for next week? How do they feel about Toronto, a team that they barely beat, that played them tough, but they only played them once, and this was months ago?
You're talking, sorry.
I'm talking like
something.
how do the Bombers like Hey, you're like me, you can't multitask, I get it.
Oh no, I'm on the ball.
Kidding, of
Let's
course.
go.
You're multitask. You're Mr. Volleyball, basketball, hockey, football. I don't know, ball hockey. What else do you cover?
Wouldn't trade it for the
Ultimate
world.
frisbee, dude. Like,
Wouldn't trade
what
it
are
for
the
the world.
Bombers? What do you think is going through their mind? Because I heard them talking that the locker room was fairly quiet after the game. Do you think that's because they realized they didn't play their A game?
Oh no.
Do they?
Oh no.
Are they
I don't know where you heard that. I don't know where you heard that.
I heard that on the post game, maybe I misheard.
When the BC Lions were speaking in the media room underneath IG Field, it backs onto the weight room and the therapy facilities for the Blue Bombers in their corner of the stadium. And it erupted a few times. Absolutely. So here's the thing. Mike O'Shea has always said this, and I want to get into our Wallaby Warrior, Westward Wide to the right, the Happy Honker, Game Balls, and the rest. But
we also have a special gift to open up, Darrin, from one of our favorite fans. So we'll get to that too.
Absolutely. Big thanks for that. Mike O'Shea has always said, you put in the work and you honor your teammate. And when you put in the work and you honor your teammate and you win, you celebrate with your teammate. That's how that bond is formed. You know, everybody saw, a lot of people saw that family video that Adam Bighill narrated and the Blue Bombers put up on their website. Very cool, right? That's where that comes from. It's about honoring your teammate, playing for the guy next to you, not playing for the coach, not playing for the GM or somebody out there. It's playing for your teammate. And you celebrate with your teammate when you win. And then you put it to bed together, and then you go to work. So I put out a tweet that Adam Bighill actually retweeted tonight, and he said, that they're already going to work. I'm just going to pull it up here, but it was absolutely interesting to hear Adam Bighill say that. This game is behind us, said Adam Bighill. It's laser focus work. And he retweeted that and said, we're already on to Grey Cup. Grey Cup week has already begun for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Yeah, they're going to have a couple coldies tonight, as Walby would say. They're going to drink it in and enjoy. But this ain't going to be like Major League Baseball and winning the pennant. They're going to the dance,
Oh
and
yeah.
they're getting to work first thing in the morning. This is not going to be a late night for the Blue Bombers. Laser focused,
Oh, I believe that.
and
Yeah.
the work is what they really reside in and relish in. So I think that's a
And
huge
yeah.
advantage for the Blue Bombers. That they know they don't care if it's one Grey Cup, two Grey Cups, three in a row, 4 and 5 years, whatever, like the Bombers did back in the 50s and 60s. They are going to win one football game. And that focus, I think, is their greatest asset, bar none.
I don't disagree. I it doesn't surprise me, Darrin. I don't know where I heard that it was quiet. Although Winston Rose was fairly serious on his post-game interview, and you could tell,
Yeah.
and that's echoing what you're talking about right now, Darrin. They're gonna go to work and maybe uh and my buddy Jack, who I took to the game with, was talking about this. Like, he's a big rugby fan, but I think it goes. He said it's the same in rugby. It's like if you,
Zach, keep going. I'll be right.
all right, Darrin, where are you? Oh, I was gonna say it's the same.
I'll be right back, brother. You tell your story. I'll be right back.
I'm good. So I just think in any sport, if you win the game on your B game, then I would argue that you're going to be a little more motivated, especially for the Grey Cup. And I know we're going to preview the Grey Cup throughout the week. Darren's going to do a lot, and we'll hear from our pal, the legend Chris Walby. But can you imagine the motivation that Bombers defense has playing against Andrew Harris? You remember the game in Toronto? It's way back. It's hard to believe it was this year with the snow, but it was summer. At one point in Canada, it was summer and there was no snow and it was nice and warm. But Andrew Harris, despite the fact that they lost the game, Darrin, I was just talking about Harris in that earlier game in Toronto. He kind of had his way with the Bombers. And I think I just for some reason, I'm picking Adam Bighill. I bet you is just foaming at the mouth to
I bet.
tame the beast that is Andrew Harris. I bet you Alden Darby and Malik Clements and Marcus Sales and Jake Thomas, those guys want to crush him. That's just the sense I get. If I was that, I'm just putting myself in their shoes.
Yeah.
And I bet you Harris wants to crush them too. And that's going to be a huge storyline going into Grey Cup, man. Like, what a story.
And just to catch people up, Andrew Harris scored a touchdown on his first touch in 12 weeks.
Right.
Scored a touchdown. He had 9 carries for 42 yards. That led all Argos. AJ Ouellette had 6 carries for 38 yards. So Ouellette averaged 6.3 per carry. Harris 4.7. This is a two-headed monster. They have McLeod Bethel Thompson. He threw for 299 and was 70%, 2 touchdowns, no picks. So had a nice clean game, QB rating above 130. Their offense was clicking against the Montreal Alouettes today. Alouettes punched back, and the Argos defense looked beatable, which is probably their biggest strength this season. But when it comes to that leading storyline, and not just Andrew Harris versus the Bombers, but Harris, the master, if you will, with Brady Oliveira, the protege, going head to head, it's going to be fascinating. The Argos will run that two-headed monster. Ouellette and Harris together are stronger than them separated. So I think the run game in Regina on November 20th is most definitely going to be something people are talking about all week.
Well, and someone's saying, who's going to three-peat, Andrew Harris or the Bombers? Like, right? Like, I mean, that's just one of probably 1,000 storylines, Darrin, that you and many people in the media will get into. But Yeah, what a great storyline, and to face the Argos. I know it's historical, Darrin, but a team. Yes, the Jets won. Yes, good for them. Apparently,
Shifley
there
in
was a
overtime.
cheap shot at the end of the third. I was going to say third quarter. I'm in football. I, it's at the end of the third period. So good. I'm glad the
Well, it
Jets
went to
won.
overtime, so it was the third quarter.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. That's right. That's right,
That's
Darrin.
right.
So, I mean, I was just saying, like, what are the Bombers? What are they thinking? I think they're already preparing, and they're going to be very serious. I mean, this is the third time, right? And I think that's a huge advantage for this team. They've been there, done that, right? They're probably going
The
to wear their
experience,
road
yeah.
whites.
Yeah.
They've gone into the nastiest of environments and won the cup. I just think they're going to be very well prepared. I think their A game beats the Argos A game any day. But it's football. It's fickle, right? There's coaches. Dinwiddie's a good coach. Who is it? Corey Mace. Is he the defensive DC
I'd have
of
to.
the Argos? He's a good. They've played well. They're
Yeah,
very
you're right. Yep.
opportunistic. It'd be interesting to see. It looks like BC tried to stop our pass game today and got killed by the run game. We'll see what the Argos do. I mean, I know that's about a week away now, but it's just got me thinking. I'm starting to get excited. I'm over like the meh.
See, it's just your roller coaster of emotions. That's part of
I'm
being a
just
fan, right?
labile. I'm very
Uh,
labile, Darrin.
Mark Morissette, watching live on YouTube. What's up, Mark? And what's up, everybody out there? Awesome numbers, people taking in the post game show here on Game Day After Dark. How big of a threat is Brandon Banks next week? Well, he had 5 targets, 2 catches, 25 yards tonight, or this afternoon, I should say, in the Argos 34-27 win. Devera's Daniels put up the big numbers. He had 3
Oof.
catches for 108. Curly Gittens Jr., look out for this guy out of Wilfrid Laurier, the
Yeah.
Canadian. 9 catches on 9 targets for 97 yards, 4 second down conversions for Curly Gittens Jr. He was really, really good. That's going
Yeah.
to be the biggest challenge. Like, you talk about Canadian running backs and Andrew Harris versus Brady Oliveira. Let's talk about Canadian receivers going head to
Yeah.
head with Nick
Yeah.
Dembski versus Curly Gittens Jr. It's going to be awesome to witness. Just another one of those layers to the onion of storylines going into this Grey Cup game. Zach, let's
And
get into it. Let's
yeah.
get right down to it and do our Wallabies Warrior, our first of our special segments here on Game Day After Dark. Who stood out to you as the guy that went to war, won the battle, and deserves the prestigious honor of being Chris Wallabies Warrior tonight?
Dude, this one's easy for me. It just screams Brady Oliveira, and when I say Brady Oliveira, I mean not only him, but all of those road graders in the front, the O line, the Hogs, and the run blockers, right, and the fullbacks like Connor Burtonshaw, like Mike Miller. Remember, he's a fullback, right? You saw the way the Bombers lined up, the way they set up this roster this week, Darrin. When the roster came out yesterday, the depth chart, and I saw six, seven O linemen, a couple of fullbacks. I don't think I've ever seen them dress 2 fullbacks. I don't know if that was because Miller was maybe nicked. He surely didn't look nicked. He murdered someone on kick coverage tonight.
Ugh. And
He
I hope Terry
murdered
Williams is okay. Did not look
Terry
good.
Williams.
But can I just
Wow.
interject and say that hit is
Oh my
why
God.
so many clean hits. Like to me, that was a clean hit, and I understand it was most definitely a helmet to helmet contact, but there was no targeting of the head. There was no leading with
No,
the
it's
head.
clean.
That is a perfect square up
Punishing.
form tackle. Punishing, sure, big, strong, powerful, great, but
Yeah.
clean, squared up, perfect
Yeah.
form, textbook tackle from Mike Miller. Just unfortunately, he was the hammer, and Terry Williams was
Terry
the
Williams
nail.
was
And Williams did
and he
get
got
up on his own
nailed.
power, which
Yeah.
got up on his own power, which is a positive sign. But man, there's a reason I give Mike Miller his nickname.
Yeah. So I mean, and you saw the way the Bombers bench just erupted after that, right? Like they really truly treat special teams as a third pillar, right? But yeah, Jeff Cabellas is saying it. I just think Oliveira, 20 rushes, 130 yards with a large of 26, 6.5 yard average, Darrin. He had 4 catches on 5 targets for 37 yards with a 36-yard yak, right? Like, it's
Yes.
insane.
This is what
It's
I'm pointing at.
insane.
Sorry.
Oh, hit the like
Yeah.
button. Yeah. So I was super impressed with him, but also with the entire run scheme tonight. The run game was just clicking, and that was basically, I think that was most of our offense, and loved it. He was a real warrior, and he stepped up. And big players, right? Like Jackson Jeffcoat's dad likes to say, right? Big time players make big plays in the big moments, or he
Big
says it better
games.
than I did, but
Big games. Big players
big
make
game.
big plays in big games. Yeah.
And that was, yeah, he made some guys miss. He and a big reason, him and Brukop, why we were over 50% on second down. BC was like 25% on second down. That's a big game story, right? So
Yep.
controlling the clock, controlling the time of possession. Big Wallabies Warrior win for Oliveira and everybody involved in that run game for me, Darrin.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I give my Wallaby Warrior to all 7 offensive linemen that dressed and played tonight. So go from left to right. It's Stanley Bryant. It's Jeff Gray. It's Michael Couture. 2 cheeseburgers on Instagram, by the way, if you're interested in following Michael Couture. I
Oh,
just love that handle. Pat Neufeld and Jamarcus Hardrick, and then of course Liam Dobson and Chris Kolinkowski.
Kolinkowski, yep.
Dressing for the Blue Bombers on the offensive line tonight. Am I right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yeah,
those are our Wallabies.
they were whole. Can I just say they were whole hog?
You didn't. You
Whole
didn't.
hog.
Just like
Whole
I didn't hit the
hog,
mute button
baby.
there when I cleared my throat.
Whole
Want to
hog.
mention the Barfly says if Ellingson is not 100%, would rather see O'Leary orange and bring in another import. Look, if I'm the BC Lions and I want to limit one player on the field in the receiving corps, it's Greg Ellingson. I'm not as scared. Like, look, you kind of pick your poison, right? Ellingson and Schoen. Schoen was targeted 3 times. He had 3 catches, 36 yards. Ellingson targeted twice. He had no catches. To me, it didn't stand out that he was like invisible or couldn't get open or anything like that. I think the BC Lions probably said, look, if there's one guy we can kind of bracket and lean towards a little bit, I would want to take out a veteran like Greg Ellingson from the Blue Bombers game plan. Excuse me. But that said, I don't think he's hurt. I really don't. He looked fine. Pardon me. He looked fine in one quarter of action 2 weeks ago in the Blue Bombers regular season finale. Had a nice catch across the middle from Zach Collaros and called it his night. He's had weeks and weeks now, 2 weeks since being healthy enough to dress and play, to be healthy. So if he wasn't super involved today, no worse for wear. That's okay. He'll be healthy and good to go for the Grey Cup.
And I don't know that he's a guy like, because he was coming on and off. I noticed they were rotating him in, Darrin, and I think he's maybe a guy that you don't see as much on first down. Maybe when they're going to run the ball, he's not as much a run blocker. I thought, and maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm not super concerned
I
about
think they all run
Ellington.
block in some point,
Maybe,
in some
but
respect.
maybe not as experienced with it, and maybe as polished with it as a guy like Rashid Bailey, for example, or a Drew Wolotarski. But anyway, who's your Wallaby Warrior, buddy?
Oh, I mentioned it. The offensive line. Those
Oh,
7
you
guys
said
that
the
all dressed and
offensive
played tonight.
line.
Yeah.
Maybe while you were coughing, you said it.
I think it was when I was choking on my words, which I often do, regardless of the condition of my throat and lungs. Okay, so Westwood's wide to the right. The moment, the situation you did not like tonight, that was wide to the right.
Well, I think it was wide to the left, and I'm just going to go.
Ooh.
There were some bad penalties. The Bombers took some turnovers, but honestly, even Zach's interception, that doesn't bother me, Darrin. Zach is a gunslinger. He lives and dies by the sword, and we love that in Winnipeg. And most of the time, it works out for the good. I think he's lost 4 times, right? He had a guy in his face, and he lobbed one up where a receiver was, and the DB undercut it. Big deal. Like, I can live with that. But Mark Leggio, I do not have the patience for it anymore. I am done with Mark Leggio's issues, and I get that they're mental, Right. Good job. Yeah. Get that fisherman's friend or Sepacol or whatever you got there. Like, you should not be missing converts. Maybe you miss 1 out of 50. You should not be missing converts. And he cost us 4 points. He missed one, so it's -1. That's 1. He misses another, that's -2, and then it goes back for 2. That's 4 points. And yes, Transconapoli, he punted the pigskin out of the ball. I thought his punting was phenomenal, both in terms of height and directional punting. Great punting. But you cannot miss point afters. If that game was tighter, or if that was the difference, he has all the physical tools, right? It's mental. And so it concerns me. Now, did he hit 1 point after? Yes. Did he hit his field goals? Yes. But Darrin, he
2
has
points.
got to figure that out. Now, someone told me who was watching closely, maybe one of the point afters, the laces were in. I don't know, but you cannot miss those. And that's why my wide to the right. Love the guy. He makes amazing tackles. He will forever go down in the lore of the Labor Day Classic, Darrin, for hitting a 55-yarder on the road to win that game and evading a potential punt block and dancing around those rider pursuers. But I think Bomber fans have had enough of these issues on point afters. It's bizarre. They like James and the Peg. They're supposed to be gimmies. And in a tight game, if the Grey Cup comes down to that, God forbid you lose a game on something like that, and you can. So he's got to get that together. You got to figure out whatever that mental hurdle is and overcome it. He's done it once this year when he had that bad game in Montreal, Darrin. He came back. I give him a lot of credit, but he's got to get it figured out.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, it's definitely been an Achilles heel this season for Mark Leggio. Like 32 yarders, and then he hits 40, 45, and 50, and even a 55er with the wind at his back. In against the Rough Riders. For Mark Leggio, it has to be mental. It has
Yeah.
to be. It has to be like, okay, we just scored 6, got to make it 7. Well, I missed that one last week. Like if that's creeping in, I'm with you.
Yeah.
He has to figure it out. He has to find that mental hurdle and not just clear it, but knock it over, like get it out of the way. Whatever you need to do. But time is of the essence. Biggest game of his career is just 7 days away in the
Well, and to be
109th
fair, this was the
Grey Cup.
biggest game of his career, right? Like, sorry to cut you off, but I mean, I get it, right? Like, it's a Western final at home, but at some point, you just got to hit those automatically. You just have to.
Yeah, well, like
So,
Troy Westwood was Mr. 661, and that's because he hit 661 converts consecutive. But back then, it was a chip shot from 12 yards
tip
out,
shot.
right? It was
Yeah.
on the 5, or maybe it was even less than that. I think it was like on the 3. So either way, it's a different story now. But this is why they moved it back a little bit, because it was too easy.
It was
Now it's
too
starting to
easy.
make a difference in football games. And I'll be honest with you, I think it's a good thing. If you add
I
more
like it as
challenge,
well,
yeah, I think it's a good thing.
but
So
I
my
just like it
Westwood
when our
wide to the
kicker
right.
can hit them. Yes, sure.
Yeah, no, I hear you. We got you. We got you, Zach. We know he needs to be better, no doubt. I'm with you there 100%. But it didn't cost them the game, and it didn't have too much of an effect on things. It made it it was 2 points off the board. You could also blame the field goal unit, like the cover teams, for allowing a 127-yard return for 2 points back the other way. Okay, my Westwood wide to the right, and I will just say this briefly because look, I worked for them for nearly a decade. I have so many good friends there, both the ones in front of the camera or on the microphone, the ones behind the scenes, the ones in the offices. I have tons of respect for all of my former colleagues and current friends and everybody that I've dealt with at TSN through the years. But I'll give them a wide to the right when it comes to the division finals and the Grey Cup. They're showing the games on TSN, and they're showing NFL games on CTV. If it's not the West Final, the East Final, and the Grey Cup, at least get the Grey Cup on CTV. Put it on Channel 5, put it on Channel 1005, or whatever it is. Farmer Vision is what my pals from the country used to call it. You get CBC and CKND or something like that. Channel 5 is one of those that is really easily accessible for so many people. Get the game in front of the eyes of the people. I'll leave it at that. My Westwood wide to the right. Okay, let's quickly move on.
100%, buddy.
We've got the Happy Honker. Am I forgetting one?
Yes,
I always
sir.
feel like I'm forgetting one. Oh, yes.
Well,
We have got
we,
the
the
Bonfire Burning
burning
Point.
point. Yeah. Well, we sort of mix around the order. Let's do the happy honker. And I've got a few
Okay.
happy honkers. I
Fire
just
away,
love
my friend.
honking. First of all, my first happy honker goes to the Dakota Prue Cop, right? And I don't even know if he's a happy honker situation anymore, Darrin, because he's such a big part of the game plan. But when your third string quarterback is such a big part of the game plan, and he is getting you third down in the wedge at will on short yardage and carrying it for 4, 5, 6, 7 yards, and then he's throwing balls. He was 1 for 10. 7 carries for 37 yards and a touchdown, 5.3 average. It is just such a huge thing to the extent that you see Prukop come in not just on 2nd and 1 or 2nd and inches or 3rd and 1/3 inches, Daryl, whoever you are. I'm thinking of Daryl Brandel, our buddy, who's who's throwing shade at the NFL. Nice to see you, Daryl. You know, he's a guy that comes in on 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, even, Darrin. I just love that. And to me, he's a happy honker. The other happy honker part of Dakota Prukop, people probably didn't see this, but I was watching him when he first came on a short yardage situation. And you know those overcoats they have to keep them warm? He didn't just shrug his off like Pipkin. He threw his off like this with a flourish. I don't know if he did it on purpose, but man, we were just laughing. Like, it was very majestic. He was a big showman there. That was super funny. And then, Darrin, I'm just going to extend this happy honker just a second because I think this is exactly where a happy honker should go. Our friend Sandy Thompson, one of our good friends, she got us gifts, Darrin. Not only did
She made us gifts.
well, she made us gifts, exactly. Not only did she find me a spare Princess Auto blanket that I didn't for the game I didn't get to, the last BC game. She made us, this is for you, Darrin, and me, Bonfire Sports
No
mugs, my
way.
friend. I
This
don't
is
know
the first
where
I've
she
seen
got
them.
it done. Bonfire
Wow.
midweek with your name on it.
That's
Thermal
amazing.
mug.
You know what? I'm
She
going to put
got
you
these
full.
done for us, buddy. Look at this. Yeah, it deserves a full camera shot here. This is just beautiful. So this is yours, Darrin. I will pull out mine.
Sandy, thank you.
I will
What
pull
a
out
beautiful
mine.
gift.
I mean, this woman
That's
is
awesome.
you're just one of my favorites, Sandy. And I don't know where it says well, there was a sticker on top here. It says Candy's Craft Creations.
Okay.
So
Big
this is
shout out.
mine. It's got one of the other designs that you created, Darrin. One of my favorites. I
Oh,
don't know how
yes.
you describe this design. You
It's
tell
kind of like
me.
a geometric flame, a
Geometric
geometric
flame.
bonfire. Yeah.
I love it, Sandy. And it says
Yeah. I
Bonfire midweek on the other side. And Zach, just killing it, Sandy. You know, you're just one of our favorites. Super sweet of you to do this. And I
thank
know you
you.
made my daughter a bejeweled unicorn before. You're just a sweetheart. So
Thank
thank you so much,
you. Thank
Sandy.
you,
You
Sandy.
get a
Thank your
huge happy
sister.
honker.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely. Happy honker of the night goes to Sandy and her
yeah.
sister for making those
Oh, so it's
beautiful
your
bonfire
sister who
mugs.
made
Thank
it.
you.
It's her
So Zach,
sister,
I'll
apparently.
be by in the coming day or two before I go to Regina because
Oh
that's
yeah,
coming to the
you got
Grey
to get
Cup.
this, buddy. Yeah.
That's coming to the Grey Cup. That's going to be an absolute institution in the Football Reporters of Canada hospitality suite where
Oh
Grey Cup
baby.
week
You
truly
watch out for
happens.
Danny Austin trying to drink from that, eh?
Well, he's not coming
or
to the
Jeff
Grey Cup, and I'm gonna
Hamilton.
get him. I'm gonna get him on Bonfire this week because he's got thoughts he wants to share
Oh.
on the
Well, he
109th
had
game.
this mysterious tweet about a bonfire, and I'm like, what's going on here?
No.
I don't know. Okay, anyway.
No.
What's your happy honker,
Uh,
buddy?
well, first I wanted to mention somebody in the live chat was saying how, like, you remember Paul McCallum missed a field goal and the Rough Rider fans like dumped a dump truck of manure
Yep.
on his lawn, and now he's in the Hall of Fame, rightfully so. But this is something a lot of people don't know. Did you know that when they dumped that load of manure on Paul McCallum's lawn, it was actually his next door neighbors? They
How's
missed his
Saskatchewan?
house
How
just like
backwards?
McCallum missed the kick. He gets the last laugh, and those
He sure
idiots who
does, baby.
made it personal, missed McCallum's. I feel bad for the McCallum family, the neighbors' family as well, but I'm sure they got it cleaned up and maybe put it to good use and had some nice tomatoes the
Darrin,
following summer.
yeah, exactly. We're not saying he's not going to be a Hall of Fame kicker at some point. It's just he needs to work these things out, and he needs to work them out quick.
Guy is
Hey,
young, man. He is
he's a young
young.
guy.
You remember when Brady Oliveira was having trouble earlier this year? Do you remember?
Exactly.
You
Yep.
remember when everybody was like, "We got to go to Johnny Augustine. We got to do that. We
Yeah.
got to trade for like what they were saying they had to like trade for Peyton Logan, trade for
Right.
Frankie Hickson, or like it was like, give me
Right.
a break, man. Like give
Well,
him a chance to
he
get it
took a while
going.
to get going. Okay,
And you
what's
know
your
what? Not too bad. Okay, so my happy honker, of course, Sandy and her sister for that awesome work, but I'll give
yeah,
it to the crowd
amazing.
tonight.
Yeah.
They weren't just like part of the atmosphere and part of the energy and part of the experience. The fans at IG Field tonight, Zach, we all know this, and the coaches and the players said it as much from both teams after the game. The fans at the IG Field tonight, the Madhouse on Matheson rocked so hard it had an impact on the game, a real impact that helped the Blue Bombers pull out a 28-20 victory. So that's my happy honker tonight.
Oh yeah,
Let's
man.
let's quickly move to our bonfire burning point, the
Burning
point that
point.
where the fuse sparked and
Yeah.
things went in the
Tide
Blue Bombers'
turned.
favor. Should I go
Yeah.
first?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
I'll go with the third down stop and the turnover on downs. That was just a moment I think where like the crowd loved it. Obviously, they missed it by a good chunk. It was about 4 or 5 inches, at least it appeared, from our perch. But to me, that just took a ton of wind out of the BC Lions sails, and Winnipeg didn't look back from there.
Yeah. I think that's a good one. I also am hearing people say the Janarian Grant kick return touchdown. For me, I would say
Punt
it
return,
was
yeah.
the punt return. It was early in the third quarter. The Lions had their first possession was a field goal, so it cut the lead. It was getting too close for comfort, and the Bombers. What I thought they had a 12 play, very methodical. I think it was almost a 5-6 minute drive. Darrin capped off with a Prukop rushing touchdown on short yardage, and I just felt like that's where if you were worried where Rourke was starting to heat up, right? And pardon the pun with the burning point, the Bombers just took control of the game back. Hazeldale stops at 5:50, folks.
After
Love it,
party,
Fraser.
let's go,
Love it,
let's
Fraser.
go.
Yeah, after party, baby. I thought the Bombers just they just wrestled control back from the Lions, and they just played Bomber football, methodical, running the ball, smash mouth, and they just a beautiful balance of running and passing, and then they got that touchdown. And I for me, I thought that's when I kind of relaxed. I'm like, I think this game is over, and it was closer than it should have been, maybe, but for me, that was the burning point, buddy.
Just mentioning John Chan asking about Legio needing to be better. Did we talk about it?
Yeah,
I'm just typing it here. You can go back 5 or 10 minutes. That's the
yeah,
beauty of YouTube. You can go back and listen. And look, I'm encouraging everybody right now. Do us a solid here on Bonfire Sports. We're making the investment for you, the fans. We're going to Regina to be at the 109th Grey Cup. We were going to be there either way. Like, win or lose for the Blue Bombers, we were going to be there covering the league for you. So get to youtube.com/bonfire sports. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Give us a thumbs up. If you're listening on the podcast, appreciate you a lot. If you head over to youtube.com/bonfire sports and give us a sub and give us a like and a comment, that would be awesome. I read all of the comments. I do my best to get back to you guys. But this is what I'm really asking everyone to do. And Zach, I know you know how important this is. Tell your friends, send it to your dad or your mom or your uncle or aunt or your siblings or your kids or your nephews and nieces. Send it to your friends, your coworkers. If they're curious about how the Blue Bombers are shaping up as they go for back to back to back Grey Cup championships, let them know. Bonfire is your one-stop shop. We got you covered. We're going to have a little hockey once the CFL season is wrapped up. Lots of fun stuff in store here on the channel, and all part of this awesome digital media corner that we're taking here, not just in Winnipeg, but really across the country and around the world, moving away from legacy media and into accessible, interactive media with you out there, the viewers, the fans, the listeners. It's all about you. That's why we call it Bonfire Sports. Gather around, keep it warm, keep it stoked, and be part of it. Throw a little fuel on the fire and get into the conversation. But go tell a friend right now. Go tell a few friends. Send them a link and tell them to sub up, and we'll keep this bonfire raging all the way through the 109th Grey Cup and beyond. How about that,
Yes,
Zach?
sir. And thank you, Darrin. I mean, you don't get enough love here. We're always throwing shade on you for your
That's
Tie
not
Cats
true. That's
takes and
not
all
true.
that stuff.
They're a good team. They
Buddy,
were a good team this year.
they were a good team. But listen, it's because of you that this is all here, right? You're the brains behind the operation. Um, I'm
I'm just the
I'm
button
just
pusher.
yeah, okay, buddy. I'm just the bright pink paint you put on the Ferrari, but you're the Ferrari guy. Um, I
Right.
just like to drive
Right.
it. I just like to drive it. Let's get to our game balls. Let's finish this up and get away from this loving, because people are just gonna start
Amen to
tuning us
that.
out.
Amen to that. But thanks everybody for the support all season. It's been awesome, and be sure to support our sponsors that help support us. Game balls. Look, most valuable player in this game, hands down, was Brady Oliveira. 167
Yeah,
combined yards, 130 on the ground, 6.5 yards per carry. No touchdowns, but didn't need to be that guy. That was Dakota Prukop, who pitched in 37 yards on the ground himself. The Blue Bombers controlled things with what Mike O'Shea calls the calm place. So I'll give a game ball to Brady Oliveira, and I'll probably give out 7 to the guys I gave my Wallaby Warrior to, and that's all the guys up
exactly.
front.
Dude,
Yeah.
how much would you bet if you had a little bit of money left from your winnings? I think you have a lot of winnings from SIA this year,
Did
Darrin, one of our
okay.
sponsors.
Did okay.
How much are you willing to bet that there's going to be a T-shirt at the Bomber store that says "Calm Place" with Brady Oliveira and those hogs?
Maybe we should make some bonfire shirts that say "Calm
I
Place."
I would buy that. I love it. I love it. Darrin, my game ball is going to Alden Darby. This
Ooh,
is a guy that I believe really shored up our defense
nice
big
pull.
time.
Nice pull.
Big, big addition. This was a guy that was benched actually by the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which surprised me. We
Mhm.
know that dime back, where you're a linebacker, but you have coverage responsibilities. It is one of the toughest positions in the Canadian Football League. And he had
It is.
3 knockdowns today. 3.
Nearly
That's
picked one.
Willie
Yep.
Jefferson. That's a stratosphere that few others get to. And Darby had 3. Oh yeah, the too soon BC sucks chant was amazing. He he also had a sack, Darrin, for a
Yep.
7-yard loss. It's hard to
Oh, the
sack.
knockdown. Did he have a
Well,
sack?
he had 3 knockdowns, then he had a sack, and he had a tackle.
Because he had that one
And
knockdown at the line of scrimmage. They like sent him on a blitz, and
yeah.
yeah, it worked out great.
So he could have had a couple picks. He could have easily had a pick 6. Um,
Nice
I
pick, man.
just
Well done.
I just love me some Alden Darby. I understand why they let him go with Maston, and we've talked at length about that. But
Why did
I am so
Hamilton let him
glad they.
go in a trade?
Right. I am so
Cameron
happy we got
Kelly.
him. Yeah,
Cameron Kelly is a
Cameron Kelly
baller,
is
man.
he's great. He's great. But
Unbelievable. Yeah.
But kudos to Kyle Walters and that team for getting Darby and also Desmond Lawrence, by the way, who had a fantastic game. Actually, this is huge. I mean, this is just one of those CFL stories where you get guys late in the season. The Bombers seem to do it every year. Just great story with Alden Darby. Love to have him back. He's part of that dark side defense. He had a whale of a game in the Grey Cup last year, and I expect him against his former team in Toronto to have a good game. What's this sea walking to Snoop Dogg?
That's the Crip Walk. That's the Crip Walk, right? You know, the Bloods and the
Okay.
Crips and all that BS
Yeah.
from the West Coast rap scene in the 90s. But what my favorite was, maybe this gets a Happy Honker honorable mention, but that's Brady Oliveira, big run, and then Jamarcus Hardrick joining him for a little bit of a Crip Walk after that. That was one of my favorite moments tonight. A game ball I'll give to so you gave one to the defense, you give one to the offense. You know what? Like, I mean, I think you'd almost leave it there. Like I could start digging. I think your Alden Darby pick is awesome. Like that's a really, really good one. I think you could give one to the coordinators tonight. The Blue Bombers defense just played in a way that BC couldn't respond to offensively. Richie Hall dialed up a phenomenal game plan. And I don't know if the Blue Bombers front seven, like no doubt their strongest position group, top to bottom. I don't know if they attacked the BC Lions offensive line and Nathan Rourke differently, but they might have made some adjustments. They might have made some changes or just employ certain strategies when you know that a quarterback doesn't have the same wheels that he has had when fully healthy. So, you know, I'll give a game ball to Richie Hall, and I'll give one to Buck Pierce because it has to take something, a stroke of some level of genius to be able to run the ball over and over and over again, and nobody can stop it. Like, yes, it's the guys up front. Yes, it's Brady spinning and juking and twisting and diving. But the play design and the balance and the setup. Yeah, the commitment to it. Well said, Zach. I think it is really, really something. Buck Pierce gets a game ball for me tonight. Well done by the
and I like that, Darrin. And you know, you saw them throw some different run looks, and at the beginning of the game, they weren't really working. You know, Brady was getting 3 and 4 yards. The Dembski tried a couple sweeps in the beginning. They, BC's credit, they had him down to rights. But unlike Calgary, who abandoned the run after 10 carries, because what Craig Dickinson, or sorry, not Craig Dickinson, that might be an insult. Dave Dickinson says, well, they were loading the box. Well, the Bombers don't care if you load the box.
Yeah,
they're going to keep running the ball.
Because they're going to use some misdirection with Dembski.
Beautiful misdirection. It's those fine little details that just so impressed me, Darrin. And you have to be so on point with those fine little details, with timing, with body position to get those fakes in, and it even fools fans, right? We'll watch one guy go the other way. We'll watch Prukop. We think he has the ball, right? And Buck Pierce is just setting up the other team. They might get you the first couple times, but he's setting you up. And he sets him up and he knocks him down. And I just love the run game. It might not be the prettiest, but, you know, everybody wants to see Zach throw for 400 yards. But the Bombers have been able to run on BC all season, and they did it again. And I'll have to dig into the stats with Toronto to see how they play the run. It's so hard to put these teams head to head, Darrin, because they have only played once, and it was so early on. But
they always play them tough, though.
They do.
Always play the Bombers tough.
They do.
I will give here. How about this? I'll give a Bonfire game ball to Ryan Friesen, who points out no game ball for Janarian Grant. Absolutely, well
Fair
said,
enough.
Ryan Friesen. Kudos to you and game ball to you and to Janarian Grant. Like, what a huge redemption he had in getting things back on track.
He literally drops the ball. Right, he literally drops the ball and then he picks it up. Right, that takes a lot of guts. that takes a lot of resiliency. But
Yeah. Hey, listen to Andre Harms. Get down there, give us a thumbs up. We're almost at 100. That'll be awesome. There's 170 people watching right now. We had like
that's
180
awesome.
something. This is just on YouTube, right? We got
Yeah.
people watching on Twitter. We got people watching on Facebook. We got people watching on LinkedIn. Did you know we're on Twitch? Oh, yes. What's Twitch? Go check it out. We're
Yeah.
on there as well. But for everybody out there, if you're not on YouTube, head over to youtube.com/bonfire sports. Subscribe. Consider subscribing if you haven't. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the comments. All those things. That would be a solid for us. Waiters shooting back at Friesen. He just fumbled the game ball. Oh, given a little bit of a parallel to Janarian Grant. So I don't mind that as well. Okay, this is important too because some people are talking about Bonfire midweek this week being absolutely on fire, which it will. Chris Walby getting the Game Day Winnipeg going on Saturday, as we always do the day before the game here on Bonfire Sports. What is the upcoming Bonfire schedule? Well, tomorrow I'm going to try to create something. Maybe like if I wake up and I can actually talk and swallow my morning coffee and that sort of thing, I'll get a video up. But like, look, we're going to be cranking out content consistently and continually all through Grey Cup week. I'm not even sure when I'm headed out, Zach, but you're going to join me. Jeff Hamilton, Ted Wyman, Danny Austin, like so many people, all your favorites, some new ones as well. I'm going to track down Farhan and Naylor and all of my good friends across the CFL landscape. They're going to join us. We'll do a little bit on midweek. We'll do a little bit on Game Day Winnipeg. Walby wants to join more often. So like, we're just going to pop on and do a couple minutes throughout the week.
Unbelievable. Love it.
Yeah. So you're going to get your full dose of 63 Big Bluto Chris Walby through the week. So what's our schedule this upcoming week? Go check. It's going to be fresh content
Check
all
daily,
the time.
folks.
And this is the easiest thing. Everybody has a smartphone. Okay. So whether you got an Android or an iPhone or whatever you have a podcast app on your phone. Find it, load it up, search Bonfire Sports. You know the B. You can't miss it. Subscribe. And look, you don't have to like keep those episodes on your phone and gobble up a bunch of space on your phone. You can have it there and quickly download just with a push of a button and listen to it. So that way something is fresh, that something is new. You can also subscribe on YouTube and ring the bell. You ring that little bell, just push it and light it up yellow. You'll get a notification on your phone if your notifications are turned on for the YouTube app. And anytime we are live, which everything will be for the most part, I think. And you'll know when we got fresh stuff up on Bonfire Sports live from the Grey Cup City, the Queen City of Regina.
The Queen City, and we're going to be giving away our TSV prize pack, Darrin, on midweek with our ornament and our hand
warmer.
Well,
and how about our fantasy prizes?
Our fantasy prize. Well, the fantasy prizes we can't give till after Grey Cup because they're included.
They're still going.
So we got to do a show after Grey Cup, of course.
Okay, good.
Maybe a midweek show because they include the Grey Cup in fantasy and Pick-Em. So
those
things are up in the air.
For those amazing prizes that are still a surprise, still a secret for the Bonfire Sports Fantasy winners. And Zach, big ups to you in handling all of that this year and keeping on top of the leaderboard. And
Very
the rest.
difficult job.
Difficult job. Those prizes could be fitting to hand out after the Grey Cup, don't you think?
Yeah, I think they'd fit perfectly. They definitely have a sparkle to them. So absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Jeremy, to everyone who's participating in those.
Jeremy asking how soon it's going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, like all of them. It will be up 15, 20 minutes. It's pretty quick once we finish the show. So as long as Zach, you don't talk my ear off after the show, like, you and I, we chop it up a little bit once the audience is away.
I don't even like to talk, Darrin. I mean, geez.
No, you're not much of a talker. You're a pretty quiet guy.
I'm just a listener.
That's right. That's right. Like everybody else out there. Thanks for listening.
Gerald Wilson is listening from the Philippines, he said. Shout out to Gerald Wilson. Where are you? Manila?
That's amazing.
Where are you? Don't ask Darrin to give you any. Don't ask him any geography questions about the
Wow.
Far
I've been
East.
working on my geography in regards to the Philippines because I wrote about the Philippines and the Filipino community here in Manitoba with Jason Robertson and
Oh yeah,
Tim Stapleton and Filipino Heritage Night. I had that piece up on
yeah, of
NHL.com. That
course.
was a ton of fun. But nobody knows this, Zach. Winnipeg is the largest Filipino population outside of the Philippines, like per
No
capita.
way.
There's a 250,000 Filipino people in Toronto, but that's a
Yeah,
small percentage compared to the
right. Per capita.
80,000 Filipinos
Very
here in
cool.
Winnipeg. It's
Very
10% of our
cool.
population. 10%. It's
And
crazy.
apparently we
Who
have
can
some
tell you?
folks we've sent their way too. So that's awesome, Gerald. Thanks for joining, and everybody who's international. I believe John Chan is the guy from Singapore, right, John? Um, oh, we've reached 1,000 messages. Oh my God, this
Love
is
it.
just we're just loving this. We're this is Antipolo City. That is awesome, buddy.
No doubt.
Uh, Darrin, someone asked if we are doing a post game show after Grey Cup. After dark,
Yeah.
or what's your schedule like, buddy?
Well, I don't even know yet because this is the first year
Yeah,
we've done a post game here on Bonfire, right? It had just the
right.
pregame show with Chris Walby last year. I don't see why not. I don't know what your plans are. It might be a little bit
Um,
later than tonight because like
yeah,
it's almost 10:30, right? Grey Cup, post game availability, the locker room, the rest. There's a lot happening, but yeah, no
yeah.
doubt you and I should hop on, right?
Oh, we got to do it after dark on the Grey Cup, buddy.
Yeah, right. We'll ride
We
the wave of energy.
we will. We yeah yeah.
Yeah.
What are you any final thoughts, Darren? Anything else you want to say?
Hmm. I mean, this is what it's all about, right? This is why fans cheer. This is why players play. This is why coaches coach. It's all about getting to the dance and going out there, putting your best out on the field and leaving it all out there, letting it all hang out. And for the Blue Bombers, they're in really, really strong shape going
Yeah,
into the 109th Grey Cup with an opportunity to do something that hasn't been done in 40 years, right?
yeah.
With
Yeah, in
the
a
Edmonton
salary
Football
cap
Club.
era with these
Yeah.
1 year contracts, Darren, it's
Edmonton
insane.
won
And
it.
then
Yeah. Edmonton won it from
they won it five
78
times.
through 82, five in a
That's
row.
right. Yeah, and they unfortunately beat a lot of really good bomber teams
They
with
did.
the Birmingham Rifle and Dieter Brock. But listen, I mean, I started this show. Vicky, hello, how are you? Arlen, section 128. I was like the town bicycle tonight. I went to every section. Everybody had a turn. I ended up in section 130 with my mother-in-law because we did a bit of musical chairs with Caitlin and Andrew and shout out to my buddy Andrew. As soon as he showed up to the game, he showed up late. Darren, Jadarian Grant takes it back to the house, and then it's just a bunch of good stuff happening. So shout out to Andrew. Uh, I started this show by just being a bit low energy. Maybe I'm just tired, but I was like, yeah, we won another West final. It wasn't pretty. I'm pissed
And I'm
off at
like, what's wrong
Leggio.
with you, man?
Meh. Let's see what we got next week, okay? But I am starting to get excited. Dude, we're going to the Grey Cup. I know we've done it 3 years in a row. That in itself is an incredible accomplishment by this Bomber team, these coaches, the staff. You know, I'm thinking about the medical staff, the videographer, Josh Burton, young guy, met a couple times. Great guy, his noses to the grind. Just everybody, the GMs, the scouts, all of these guys, Wade Miller, the volunteers. I'm thinking about Tamara, the Carol Barretts. I mean, they are the class of the CFL, top to bottom. And if you were wondering where the guy with shorts was, it wasn't Mike O'Shea. I believe it was Kevin Todd, Darren, who came out in shorts today. The equipment
Oh,
manager.
and Brad, I think Brad Foddy was in
Oh, was
shorts as
Brad
well.
Foddy in short? Maybe it was Brad
Yeah.
Foddy. Love that. But
Was it a
listen,
tall
man, we're
guy?
going to the taller guy. Yeah, maybe it was
Yeah, it
Brad
was Brad
Foddy.
Foddy. Yeah.
Sorry. Um, just frick, man, we're going to the Grey Cup, and you're actually going there. I just can't wait. I can't wait for your coverage. I can't wait to watch it. I'm going to be watching it on TV. We're going to have a big Grey
Dude,
Cup
you're going to
party
be
here.
Zach, you're going to be right there with me and with all of us. This is the beauty of Bonfire Sports and of this digital media
Yep.
is that anytime I click the button, you guys will know that we're live. Jump on. We'll bring your comments in. We'll bring your questions in. Zach, you'll join us. Tons of other friends of the show. And we'll keep you covered top to bottom throughout Grey Cup week. I'm going to do my best to rest over the next
Yeah. Rest
36
up, buddy.
hours so I can be in tip-top shape to bring you guys, frankly, a hectic, busy, and fun-filled, irreplaceable week. And
Yeah,
that'll be the
get your rest,
109th
Darrin.
Grey Cup.
Get your rest. But let me ask you this one question, and maybe folks in the chat before we go. Is that an equipment manager tradition? Craig Smith is saying that is awesome.
Could be.
Great comment. Love having you on the chat, Craig. You're just a
Yeah.
gem. Um, Darrin,
Bombers are the home team in the Grey Cup.
yeah. Any initial thoughts on this matchup? Just off the top of your head.
Initial thoughts. I mean, it's an intriguing matchup. You want like my football answer?
Yeah.
I don't think Toronto's offense. Like, look, anything can happen any given Sunday, as they say, and especially in the CFL and especially in the playoffs. But on paper, on first glance, on early, scouting report, I don't think the Toronto Argonauts offense can match up against the Blue Bombers defense. I think Winnipeg's back end is too strong. I think their front six, front seven with Darby is just absolutely lights out. And I think similar to what we saw tonight, you might see McLeod Bethel Thompson throw for 300 yards, throw for 350. But it's going to take a very, very concerted effort and a creative and well executed game plan. I don't see a lot of margin for error for the Toronto Argonauts offense if they want to win the 109th Grey Cup. That's the way I look at it. Toronto's offense versus Winnipeg's defense. Yep.
Love it. I just threw you under the bus there. Just give me your first take, Darrin.
You know
and it was
me. You
brilliant.
can throw anything at me, man. I'll take it. Let's go. Love it.
I'm not throwing this mug at you, buddy, because this mug is going to go in a glass case. I swear to God.
That thing
Thank you,
is
Sandy.
gorgeous.
Here's the thing with
That thing is
Toronto.
gorgeous.
McLeod Bethel Thompson is inconsistent. And I think it really depends. I mean, I would give us the edge, no question. But I'm really unsure as to which McLeod Bethel Thompson is going to show up. And with the complicated looks that our defense gives and the talent there, we'll see. I don't want to jinx anything, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
excited, buddy.
Oh man, it's going to be such a great week. And thank you everybody for joining us here on Game Day After Dark, joining us all season, and looking forward to having you along for the ride ahead of the 109th Grey Cup. Keep it locked. New content pretty much every day. Going to do the best we can to keep the appetite fulfilled. No doubt Bomber Nation is going to be ravenously hungry ahead of the game. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. So looking forward to it. Tell a friend, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell, do all those good things. Do us a solid. Support our good friends at Shannon's Irish Pub. They are awesome down there. The food, the drinks, the rest. More information, ShannonsIrishPub.ca. Zach, final word to you, my friend. The fan that has now enjoyed 3 straight West Final wins and another opportunity to win a Grey Cup and do something that's been so rarely done in professional football and here in the CFL, and that would be 3 straight Grey Cup championships.
It's just it's hard to believe, buddy. This Mike O'Shea train started chugging when we really had nothing in the tank. We had nothing up the pipe. Joe Mack had really emptied it and really misguided this team. And to go from there, from a 7-11 to then, back down to a 5-13 season,
Yeah, it was 3
and then
13.
to make, and then to make the playoffs and get double digits wins, 2016, 2017, 2018, building up to that 2019 magical run, right? And then to be able to sustain that, right? Last year after COVID and keeping the band together, coming back in overtime on enemy territory and enemy soil, buddy, and then doing it again with an even better record, with so many injuries, Darrin, and so many guys coming in and out. It's just incredible. It's something that, regardless of what happens on Sunday, is something that will be written about. I believe even just getting to the Grey Cup in a salary cap era, coaching cap era, 1 year
With a missed season in a
contract
row,
era,
with a missed season in there.
with a missed season in the middle,
Crazy.
with the culture that these guys have, the love they have for each other, the way they just do everything right, my man. It's just incredible. I'm so proud of this team to get back to the Grey Cup. It is so hard in football, in a one and done, in a game that is so fickle, and it's just tremendously exciting. And to get another game to watch where it's all on the line, man, it's just incredible. Memories that we'll all have for a lifetime, and this has just been such a fun ride. And my last point is, I put out a tweet earlier today asking fans, for the love of all that is holy, do not do the wave today, especially if it's not within 3 minutes in the fourth quarter and we're not up by 3 scores. Well, thank goodness nobody was silly enough to do the wave. Nobody was really loud while we were on offense. Thank you, fans. I appreciate that. I just can't tell you how happy and appreciative I am that we didn't get into those silly shenanigans, Darrin. And I will leave it at that. We'll catch up with you, Darrin. Get well, buddy. You got a lot of work ahead of you
Oh
this
yeah, I'm
week, and
good.
we'll see everybody on Wednesday. Can't wait. And thanks again to Sandy and your sister. You are just gold. I don't know what's stopping the rest of you from
Thank you.
giving us prizes and presents, but obviously Sandy's on board, so yay for Sandy.
One of a kind. Thanks, Sandy. Thanks to your sister. And like, look, this is it, Blue Bomber fans. History is in the making right
Yeah.
now, and we are so happy to bring it to you daily here on Bonfire Sports. Thanks again. It's going to be a heck of a week. I'm like lost for words. It's going to
Yeah.
be awesome. I'm feeling like Zach Kalaris. I'm a little
Yeah.
bit like having trouble finishing the game, right? But you know what? We're good. We're good.
We're
No
good.
question if I'll be available for the Grey Cup. We're going to be just
Oh, yeah.
fine. But
You're not a
all right,
game time
everybody.
decision, Darrin.
No, no chance. No chance. I'm in the lineup, man. You couldn't keep me out if you tried. All right, everybody. Thanks again. We'll see you very, very soon here on Bonfire Sports. Thanks, Zach.
Sayonara.